There is one Fortnite LTM that almost every single person on Earth forgot about, which is really weird because this LTM was one of the most loved Fortnite game modes of all time, yet not a single person remembers it ever happening. So you might be asking, AJ, what LTM is this? Well, how many of you remember the Leviathan LTM? So the Leviathan LTM was a 50 versus 50 game mode where on one team there was a giant Leviathan and their team had to escort the Leviathan all the way from Wailing Woods to Greasy Grove. The other team's goal was to take down the Leviathan or else they would lose. There was no building, you had infinite lives, and it was a ton of fun. But what's really weird is even though this game mode was so loved, nobody remembers it. It's almost as if every single person forgot this game mode ever happened. And I think I might know why. You see, the Leviathan LTM was only out for about 30 minutes. Apparently, there was some game-breaking bug that was really bad, and it forced Epic Games to remove the game mode entirely. That's why if you go on YouTube, you'll find almost no videos on the Leviathan LTM. But despite that, there are still some people on Reddit who still remember the Leviathan LTM. Throwback to the Leviathan LTM, probably the last time I was ever happy. That were some good times. Walking around, trying to squish everyone, too fun. Does anyone remember the clip of the Leviathan stepping on that one guy? That was hilarious, cannot wait to play it again. LOL, I remember that. They were so close to getting him to Moistenmeyer too. Does anyone have a video? I did, but it appears it's been corrupted. Sometimes I dream that I'm still playing it. Literally, it was better than seeing my children be born. I never got to see my children being born. I was at home playing the Leviathan LTM. Smart. I should have thought of that. You really missed out on playtime of this once-in-a-lifetime LTM to watch babies be born? That happens like a million times a day. But that never happened? What do you mean? Everyone else remembers it here. I'll tell you what though, it was one of the most fun LTMs Epic have pushed out to date. So what if I said I was lying to you, and that the whole idea of the Leviathan LTM was made up? Because that's exactly what's going on here. Boom, you've been bamboozled. The Leviathan LTM is a game mode that was rumored to release way back in May of 2018, but it never came out. And ever since then, it's become an inside joke that it's one of Fortnite's best game modes. But how did this rumor even start in the first place? Well, the first ever mention of the Leviathan LTM was on May 12th of 2018. Someone made a post to the Fortnite subreddit claiming to have a friend that worked at Epic Games. This friend apparently told them a bunch of stuff coming in Fortnite Season 5. So let me read that post to you. Hey, I have a buddy who works for Epic Games. He told me some stuff about Season 5 and I want to share some information. You know that meteor that hit Dusty? Well, it's an egg, and inside of that egg is a big Leviathan without the suit. 2 new LTMs will be coming near the end of Season 4. A 50v50, but one person in one team will control the big Leviathan, and the team with the Leviathan have to escort him to Wailing Woods or Greasy Grove. The other team has to take it down before it's too late. There's infinite lives in the game mode, but no building. Omega vs Alpha or Charlie. Alpha or Charlie, they haven't decided on a name yet, is a blockbuster skin. It's basically 50v50, but with one hero on each team. I can't share any details yet because they are not finished yet. Tilted will be damaged and Moisty 80% destroyed by the Leviathan. Dusty Divot shall be patched up a bit. The factory will return and most of the craters will be gone. Now looking back, this post was obviously fake. But I wanted to find out what inspired this Reddit post. So I spent a lot of time researching, and I think I put together a pretty good timeline of every single leak and fan theory that inspired the Leviathan LTM. So hi, my name is AJ, and welcome to the story of how the Leviathan LTM leak was created. As always, use code MeMyselfAndAJ in the Fortnite item shop. Thank you so much. So it all started way back in April of 2018 around the end of Season 3. There was a very popular fan theory that Season 4 was going to be dinosaur themed. Now looking back, that theory was obviously wrong. But at the time, this theory made a lot of sense. You see, around the end of Season 3, Epic Games was releasing a lot of dinosaur-themed skins in the item shop. But there was one skin in particular that really stood out. It was a fish in a human-sized spacesuit called the Leviathan. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Leviathan is a creature from real-life mythology. There are a lot of different interpretations on what the Leviathan looked like. Some mythologies think the Leviathan is a multi-headed sea serpent, while others think it's a fire-breathing crocodile. Anyways, there was also a giant meteor heading straight for the island, and as we all know, dinosaurs were wiped out by a giant meteor billions of years ago. So people start to look through the Season 3 Battle Pass to find any clues at the next Fortnite season, and they found something really interesting. In the Battle Pass, there were emoticons of an egg, what seemed to be an explosion, and a fossil. People had a theory that this was a secret hint from Epic Games, showing us how the meteor was going to hit the island and make the Fortnite dinosaur characters go extinct. But there was also another popular theory at the time. When I was doing my research for this video, I read through a lot of old articles from back then about Fortnite Season 4 theories. Some people believe that the meteor was going to bring dinosaurs to the island, like some kind of reverse extinction event. Anyway, on April 1st, 2018, everything changed. People started to experience vibrations on their controllers, but these weren't just random vibrations. It was a message encrypted in Morse code. When you ran the vibrations through a translator, it read SOS D5 418. So what could this possibly mean? Well, some smart people realized that D5 was a set of coordinates. If you look at the map, D5 is right where Tilted Towers is. So what the message is actually saying is, save our souls, Tilted Towers, April 18th. And so a new theory was created. What if someone from the meteor, maybe the Leviathan, maybe the aliens, were warning us that Tilted Towers would be destroyed on April 18th? A couple days later, on April 12th, 2018, 6 days before the meteor was expected to hit the Fortnite island, a screenshot was shared to the Fortnite subreddit showing some kind of object under Tilted Towers. Some thought it was a monster egg, others thought it was an alien space pod, but whatever it wasn't supposed to be there, and it was freaking people out. But before people could really think about what this object was, a massive insider leak was posted to Reddit by a user named Internet Adam, and they spoiled a major plot point of Fortnite Season 4. Internet Adam told us that Season 4 was not going to be dinosaur themed as we hoped, but rather it was going to be superhero themed. He also said the meteor was not going to hit Tilted Towers, but rather it would be hitting Dusty Depot. And lastly, he said that Moisty Mire was going to be gone by the end of Season 4. You can probably start to see where the writer of the Leviathan LTM got their ideas. So as Fortnite Season 3 came to an end, the Season 4 dinosaur theory had fallen apart, and it really seemed like that was the end of it. But then when Season 4 started, the dinosaur theory somehow became relevant again. You see, at the very end of the Season 4 trailer, there was a moment when the meteor started to crack. People started to theorize that the meteor was actually a dinosaur egg, and that it was only a matter of time before the dinosaur broke out. Oh yeah, at the start of Season 4, a giant footprint appeared outside of Greasy Grove. With a footprint this big, it could really only have been a dinosaur, right? Well, some smart people on Reddit theorized that this footprint might have actually been made by Moisty Merman, because apparently his feet matched up perfectly with the footprint. Now, we weren't the only ones studying the massive footprint, because in the Fortnite storyline, there was a detective also studying the footprint, and he had some very interesting findings. If you looked at the detective's back bling, you may have noticed this little sketchpad. In this sketchpad, there is a drawing of what looks to be an egg underground, and it seems to be pointing to a sketch of the footprint. So maybe the sketch was telling us that the egg hatched a monster that made this footprint. But it gets even weirder. If you looked further into the detective skin, you may have noticed that the detective was part of the hard-boiled set, and the description was infiltrating the seedy underbelly of Tilted Towers. People were like, wait a minute, is Epic Games confirming that the object under Tilted Towers was actually an egg? Well, not really. Unfortunately, it was confirmed that the object under Tilted Towers wasn't an egg, but rather it was a picture of the meteor from the files, and someone photoshopped it to look like it was under Tilted Towers. So looking back, the detective's skin description was probably just a reference to all the fan theories from Season 3. But people weren't done speculating yet. There was still the meteor in Dusty Divot. People really wanted to know if the meteor was an egg and how it related to the footprint near Greasy Grove. So a new fan theory had formed. People started speculating that the meteor was going to crack open like an egg and it was going to release some kind of dinosaur or leviathan, making Season 5 a dinosaur-themed season. And it was around this time, May 12th, 2018, when the Leviathan LTM leak was posted to Reddit. Now the story doesn't end here, because there's one more piece to this puzzle that I didn't mention yet. One that is so mystifying because it proves that Epic Games was working on some kind of creature. It may not have been a leviathan, but it was something. Some leakers were able to go into the files and they found the week 10 challenges for Season 4. And they found a challenge called Eliminate GGOK. Now I did some research and I couldn't find anything on GGOK. I don't think it's based on anything real or any kind of mythology. And it's safe to say that after 6 years, we haven't gotten anything in Fortnite called GGOK. But it raises the question, what is GGOK, and is this proof that Epic was working on a Leviathan? Well, what if I told you we kind of got the Leviathan LTM about a year later in 2019 and 5 years later in 2024? So what am I talking about? Well, you may remember that Fortnite and Marvel teamed up to make the Avengers Endgame LTM. In this game mode, one person on one team would play as Thanos. Everyone else on their team was a Chitauri, and it was their goal to protect and help Thanos collect the Infinity Stones. The other team played as the Avengers, and it was their job to stop Thanos. As you can probably tell, there are a lot of similarities between the Leviathan LTM and the Avengers Endgame LTM. Only one person could be Thanos or the Leviathan. You had to help Thanos or the Leviathan carry out a task. that being collecting Infinity Stones or traveling to Moisty Mire, and both teams had infinite lives. So I'm curious, was this a coincidence, or did Epic Games actually have plans for Leviathan LTM? Well, here's what I think happened. I think Epic Games originally planned to make the Leviathan LTM, but there were probably time constraints that forced them to scrap it. But then when Epic Games and Marvel collaborated a year later, Epic was like, hey, we already have a game mode half in development that we could use for the endgame LTM. Or it's also very possible that Epic Games took notice of the Leviathan LTM theory, and they thought it was a cool idea, so they snuck it into Fortnite under the disguise of an Avengers collab. But 5 years later, after the Avengers Endgame LTM, the Leviathan actually came to Fortnite, but not in the way that you would expect. You see, in Chapter 5 Season 3, a giant shark ship arrived on the Fortnite island, and the ship's name is, you guessed it, Leviathan. But here's where it gets interesting. The Leviathan ship storyline is almost identical to the Leviathan LTM. First of all, the island is currently building a nitro pipeline across the map so they can refuel the ship. You could say the island is technically escorting nitro fuel to the ship. But secondly, the ship will eventually start traveling across the island, but with a boat this big, someone has to escort it safely to avoid damaging other buildings and parts of the island. And that's literally what the Leviathan LTM was, except instead of it being a giant sea monster, it's now a giant boat. So believe it or not, the true Leviathan this whole time might have actually been this boat. So, Epic Games, if you're watching this video, hello. I think it would be really cool if you made the Leviathan LTM into a real thing. Epic Games said they have plans to bring the OG map back again, but this time they want to do something different with it. I think it would be the most perfect and fitting idea to make the Leviathan LTM real after all this time. But hear me out. When you do the announcement, instead of saying, the new Leviathan LTM has released, say, back from the depths, the Leviathan LTM has returned. So yeah, thanks for watching, use code MeMyselfAndAJ, and subscribe if you enjoy the video.